I used to be trapped in a feeling of blind hatred towards myself. And I have to use that word hatred because otherwise I'd be lying. And it was lying that brought me to that place. And it was telling the truth that set me free. And I want to tell you this story because this might help one person. And if it helps one person, it's worth it. Because it is an incredibly sad place to be. Because it's like being in a prison. And I was the prisoner, and I was also the prison guard, and the punishment was misery. I was just feeling this vague misery all of the time, and it was God who saved me. It was only divine intervention, and I can tell you exactly what the divine intervention was. And so let's start with what it is that I mean. And then I'll tell you the story. The feeling that I had towards myself was that I did not trust myself. And I didn't know myself. And I didn't know myself because I didn't trust myself. And the reason why I didn't trust myself is because I slowly over time stopped doing the things that I said I was going to do. I would say one thing, and I would talk about myself and my life and the things that I was going to do and the things that I was doing in a certain way, but I was living in a different way. And there was a part of me, that's why it's so important. It's crucial to do what you say and say what you do, because that's what withered away my self-trust. Because then I would say things, but there was a part of me that was watching the whole time, knowing that there was no power to my words, because I would say that I was going to do something, but it knew that I wasn't going to do it. And so that's like the prisoner. I was in a prison and I couldn't get myself out. I couldn't save myself because I was the one that was putting myself there and keeping myself there. And so let's go here. 2 years ago, I was living in my van. And I just started living in my van, and I went up to Michigan. I drove up to Michigan after a week of living in my van. And I was recording videos just like this, not just like this, more daily life vlogs. I was recording videos every day. And one Saturday, it was Halloween. And on Halloween, I was starting to feel very lonely. And although this was just the beginning, I found myself feeling exponentially more lonely as this journey went on. But even like a week into it, I was already feeling lonely. I was by myself. And so it was Saturday night, it was Halloween. There was a UFC match or a boxing match, and I just wanted to be around people. But everything was closed because it was nighttime, it was Halloween. And so I went into a bar. The bar was open. I could watch the fight in there. And it's crazy how this happens. It happened so many times. It's happened so many times throughout my life. And if I didn't have, it's like something like grace that has given me humility to recognize it for what it is. But it happens all the time for me. And I believe it happens all the time for you as well. I think it happens all the time for all of us. I was in this bar watching this fight. It was empty. And then all of a sudden a bunch of people start coming into the bar. And they're dressed up as monsters and demons, which is perfectly represents the actual scenario. They were dressed up as monsters and demons and these terrible things. And I was in a back booth by myself, and I ordered a bourbon. And so I was there, drinking a bourbon. I got something so that I could fit in and so that I was allowed to be in there. And just because I wanted to drink, that's the truth. And maybe 11 o'clock at night, somebody strolls in. Somebody who is a guy and a girl who are college age students. And they come and they sit at my booth and they're like, "Can we talk to you for a moment about Jesus Christ?" And I am, at this point in my life, I was 28 years old, 27 or 28 years old. So I'd been to hundreds of bars. I'd been to many different bars. There's never been a missionary at a bar. There's never been somebody trying to preach Jesus Christ to me that I've seen at a bar in the hundreds of times that I've went. And so he sits down and he's like, can I talk about Jesus Christ? And even where I was at this point in my journey, I did all of this to be a writer. I lived in the van to write, but I also was conscious of the fact that I wanted to grow closer to God. At this point, I was reading the Bible, and even at this point, I was praying every day. And I wasn't drinking alcohol. I was smoking cannabis. That is the truth as well. I wasn't drinking much alcohol, but I was smoking cannabis. These were the things that I was doing. I wasn't doing lust. I wasn't drinking much alcohol, but I was smoking cannabis. That's just the truth. And so this guy comes up to me, and I was like, yes, we can definitely talk about Jesus Christ. And then he starts to call me out. We're talking about Jesus Christ theologically, but he's also calling me out for being at a bar and drinking alcohol. And I was kind of taken back, and I was a bit offended, because I was like, man, you've got the wrong guy. I love God, and I literally just sold all of my possessions. That way I myself can be closer to Jesus Christ. And again, this is a young guy, younger than me. And he's being gentle and calm and actually very understanding. He's like, yeah, but you're at a bar right now and you're drinking alcohol. And I was like, yeah, but I just came here because I'm living in my van and I wanted to watch this fight. I'm not getting drunk or anything like that. And so he's understanding, but he's calling me out passively. Passively meaning gently. And that's only the beginning of the fascinating thing. I told my brother what I did this night. And I was talking with this guy all night. I was hanging out with this guy all night. He was really cool. But I didn't accept his assertion that I was not supposed to be there. I thought it was an innocuous thing. I thought it was okay. And I told my brother. My brother knew that I was there. My brother tells my stepdad. And that was Saturday. The following Monday, I go back to the city where I was mainly living, and I'm talking on the phone to my stepdad, and he too gently asks, well, you're recording all of these videos, like a daily day in the life video. Why didn't you include yourself being at that bar? Seemingly genuinely curious. I think he just asked it because he was curious. And I was still defensive. I was like, no, I didn't. I wasn't doing anything wrong there. I never record on Sundays, and that happened Saturday night, so I wasn't going to talk about, just because I was in a new day, so I wasn't going to bring it up randomly. But the truth of that whole situation is that in my heart, I knew what I was doing was wrong, because that isn't who I wanted to be. It's not even that the alcohol was wrong or even being at the bar was wrong. It's that it's not who I wanted to be, and I wasn't willing to tell the truth about it because it wasn't who I wanted to be. And so that's a situation where I'm getting to a point with this, which is that the self-contempt, the self-disgust that I've felt in my life has always come because it happens and I find myself in this prison when my words and my actions don't align. And that was the most recent time that it happened. And that in my view, it is divine intervention. God works in every form. I've never seen a missionary at a bar. A missionary comes to a bar. Somehow my stepdad finds out what I did. Just out of curiosity, asks me the question. And so all of these things forced me to reflect, and I was saved from that place of self-contempt again. Because the issue is that after that moment, I realized that I needed to change. I needed to either tell the truth about wanting to be that type of guy, wanting to be the type of guy who goes to bars and things like that, or I needed to not do it. In some form, my speech and my life had to be aligned. Whether I kept doing it and was just honest about it, or if I stopped doing it, one of those two things had to happen. And one of those two things wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for these absurd events, which is missionary at a bar and my stepdad finding out, both of them asking me gently, out of curiosity, what are you doing here? And so part of the reason why I bring that up is to tell you how I found myself into this place of self-contempt, and it was by my words and my actions not being aligned. But it's also, no matter what you've gone through, what you've done, what you're in right now, or what you're doing, or what you will go through, or what you will do, there isn't a prison that's too closed off that God won't go in there and get you. There is no abyss too deep. God doesn't care. God's love, the love of Jesus Christ, is beyond unrelenting. He will go wherever he needs to go in any form to get you out. He does it with me all of the time. And I believe he does it with all of us. You just have to, I would like to encourage you with patience and humility. Have the humility to see the way that God works in your life. And if you're short on humility, don't be so hard on yourself. Patiently walk towards humility. This life gets really hard sometimes. It is a narrow path that we have to walk. And the path in front of us requires faith and hope. You've got to see in front of you faith and hope. But I believe what you have to embody is patience and humility. Patience and humility makes it all easier. It makes it much more bearable. And it's all aligned towards God. It's all flowing from God and it reaches us by grace. But patience and humility makes things lighter. It makes things easier. It makes you see the things that God is doing for you as well. Humility is crucial, because otherwise what's happened for me is I get caught up thinking about myself too much. Thinking about my own woes and worries. And it's a beautiful thing to lose yourself, if only from time to time, to forget yourself. That's what humility is. Think more of others and less of yourself. And I need to do that better. God works in many forms. It's intense out here right now. It's very intense. God works in many forms. He'll come to you wherever you're at, but we've got to have the humility to see it. And that having the humility to see it, then seeing it nourishes our faith. You can remember that throughout the entirety of your life. You can look back at times in your life where you were in bad spots and see that it was probably God that put you in the bad spot so that you would find humility, and God also saved you. We just have to not forget. It's incredibly cold out here, but let me elaborate on this one more story that actually, where the self-contempt was actually happening, which is where the self-contempt was exacerbated. in a time in my life where I would pass mirrors. At that moment, God saved me from it. But in this moment, I would pass through mirrors and I didn't recognize myself. I would be disgusted. I felt nauseous. And God saved me here as well. Which is that in 2019, I was working a job that I did not like. And I just graduated from college a year prior. And I would show up to work and I was trying to fit in and I was trying to be like other people. I didn't want to be a failure. I didn't want to be viewed as unsuccessful. And so I was playing a character in many ways. And not only that, I had a girlfriend at the time, and her family was very wealthy and they were all successful in sales. That's what I was doing, sales. So I was always trying to live up to a person who I wasn't. And the thing that, it's like what I was just talking about there, that was very explicit divine intervention. If you've got the humility, you can see it. But here, God was working in my life as well, making my life bearable, guiding me to him by something as small as making the decision to learn. I was working this job that I couldn't stand, and it's like I realized that if I could just have the humility to know that I'm not going to do this forever, stop trying to fit in and be something you're not, let this be properly ordered, become a better communicator. Use this job to get better with people. Look at the people around you, assume that you have something to learn from them. And I remember this beautiful situation where despite the fact that I didn't fit in to this company in the job, I despised the job, but God, through grace, even though I wasn't even close to God, gave me the humility to realize that I need to learn from the job and from the people. The founder of the company came up to me and the team that I was leading at the time, and we were struggling. And he was like, very early in the morning, like 7 a.m., he's like, look, I don't care what you do today. I don't care about any of your results. In everything that you do, just be excellent. In everything that you do and everything that you are, just be excellent. And it's amazing because literally right at that time period, I was trying to live. The girlfriend that I was just referring to, her and I had just broke up. I thought I was going to get fired from the job because I wasn't doing well. This is when I came up with the term the day ahead, because I was writing that in my journal every day because I didn't want to live in the future. I wanted to make the most out of the day ahead. And this man comes up to me randomly and says, in everything you do and everything you are, just be excellent. As I'm always writing about the day ahead. And that was its own blessing. The decision to learn was its own blessing. Him coming up to me was its own blessing. Because that is the same essence of what Paul says in the Bible. Where Paul says, in everything that you do, keep your mind on this, what is excellent, good, and praiseworthy to God. So what that guy was telling me is the same essence of something in the Bible, and it was something that I was struggling with. Obviously, I'm not saying that that guy is like God. He's an atheistic figure, but I'm just making the point that if you have humility, you can find pieces of God intense out here. It's very intense. You can find all human beings are made in the image of God. You can find God everywhere. God pursues us unrelentingly. His love is beyond ruthless. I only use those words because those are the words that we have available to us, but it is divine love. It is love that will never quit. He's always with us. And he pursues us in many forms. He pursues us in many forms. Right. And so my point with this is that throughout my life, I've experienced something like self-contempt, and it's fragmented me. And the reason why it fragmented me is because I didn't live the life that I was speaking about. But it was always humility that brought me back. And it was humility brought down to me through grace. And I could find it in many forms. And I know that it was always God. And the beautiful thing is that God is unrelenting. And he pursues us in a myriad of ways. Right. So I just hope this can encourage, if only one person, to patience and humility. If you have humility, you can admit that things aren't, maybe the way that you're viewing yourself isn't right. Maybe the way that you're seeing the world isn't right. And be gentle with yourself. If you're struggling with humility, don't beat yourself up. Patiently walk to humility. Patience and humility. God's love is unrelenting. And what I'm working on is I want to do a better job at seeing human beings are made in the image of God. I want to do a better job at learning from everybody, regardless of the situation, seeing the dignity of God in all people, seeing the love that God has for all people. I want to see that in all people. Right. And for now, that's all that I have. Goodbye.